The good, the bad, and the ugly.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's why you clicked on this video, right? To see what the top 5 pros and top 5 cons are of what it's like to live in Los Angeles. Now, I'm coming from you from a perspective of a local, born and raised in LA, lived over 40 years of my life here. So this is nothing I needed to look up or do any research on. This is all stuff from my own experience. Now, there's a lot of great reasons of what makes LA such a cool place to live, but there's also a number of reasons why LA may not be the right fit for you. Now, I'm not gonna start off with all the negative stuff. I'm gonna start off with all the positive things. If you wanna hear what drives me crazy about the city of LA and how to avoid it, or maybe just discovering that LA is not the right place for you, you gotta make sure to stay tuned for this video. Okay, we're starting off with pro number 1, and that is the Los Angeles lifestyle, which I find to be quite unique when comparing it to other major cities across the country like San Francisco, New York, Chicago, Miami, Philadelphia, Boston. All of those cities have their own unique vibes, but I also feel like it's a little bit more tense or intense. Whereas Los Angeles, being such a big city, still has this more chill and relaxed vibe. And that's something that I've grown to appreciate and realize how important that was to the way I like to live in my lifestyle. It really speaks to me. And I don't know necessarily where exactly it comes from. I think it's a little twofold. We live so close to the beach and the water. We've got that ocean breeze. We've got sun almost 300 days a year. So that vitamin D really kicks in, kind of creates a tone, sets like this certain vibe that people just enjoy across the city. And you also have this entrepreneurial spirit that probably started before this, but I date it back to the gold rush era where people were moving here from different parts of the country, trying to create a new life and be who they wanted to be and feel comfortable. And LA still is that way today. I mean, California in general is like that, but Los Angeles still picks up on that spirit where you can be who you want to be, do what you want to do, and it's really only your imagination that limits you. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying the lifestyle here is easy, but I will say there's opportunities here, and that affects your overall lifestyle, whether it's in your career, your relationships, entertainment, people you meet, your overall community. It just has this sense of just relaxed and chill. And for me, it speaks to me. I'm a shorts and t-shirt guy. If I need to throw on a polo, I will. But I just want to get out and go. I don't want to worry about dressing up, whether I'm going high-end shopping or just regular shopping, or if I'm going to a higher-end restaurant or whatever it is. I can feel relaxed and comfortable being who I am and dressing the way I dress, and it doesn't matter. No one thinks any differently. It comes to be expected, really. And people are in workout clothes all the time. It even comes out in the way we speak. We tend to be a little bit more slower. I know people from the East Coast like to pick up the pace, get to the point quicker, but that's just not the way Los Angeles is. It's not the way people from Los Angeles are. And if you're moving here, I think you'll realize that you're going to probably end up slowing it down a little bit, and it may feel good. It's something that I enjoy personally, and I think a lot of people move here to just get away from the intensity of some of these other major cities and want something a little bit more relaxed while still doing whatever they want to do and being whoever they want to be. Again, I'm Dave Fine with the Real Estate Dads agent right here in Los Angeles. Love doing videos of what it's like to live, work, and play in the city of LA and the surrounding neighborhoods. So make sure you subscribe, tap the bell to get notified, hit the like button if you like what you see, comment below. I love answering questions. Now, my team and I love helping people move to and relocate to this awesome city of Los Angeles. If you are thinking about making that move, make sure you reach out to us, send us a text, shoot us an email, hit us up on a phone call, whatever way you're comfortable with. Make sure you reach out. We got your back when moving to LA. Okay, we are on to pro number 2, and that is the weather and outdoor lifestyle enjoyed in Los Angeles. I think we have some of the best weather in the world. Why does that matter? Because it does affect your overall lifestyle and your way of living. We have so many sunny days here. It's almost about 300 sunny days a year. Average temperatures between 70 and 80 degrees during the day, 50s and 60s at night. Now, there are exceptions for those ranges, but for the most part, that's what you're going to experience year round. It's hard to explain what that means unless you've lived other places. Now, I got to say, for me, it's one of the driving factors of why I love living in Los Angeles, and it's one of the big reasons why so many people move to Los Angeles. Now, weather, you say, like, what's the big deal about weather? Why are we even talking about? Why do I talk about so much in our video? Now, in my experience, people talk about weather in other parts of the country or other parts of the world because they're experiencing bad weather or weather that they don't enjoy. Now, we don't talk about weather much in Los Angeles. In fact, it's really unheard of unless it's raining because it's so shocking to us. But the reason I'm talking about it is to share with you that weather is like not a concern for us because we get the sun, we get the mild temperatures, and it encourages you to be outside and outdoors. And if you're someone that likes to be outdoors year round, LA is the great fit for you. It has great opportunities to enjoy the outdoor lifestyle. And not just if you're someone who likes to be athletic or do hiking or surfing, it's just your day-to-day life. It affects you in the smallest of ways. So I'm someone who doesn't like to put on layers. I'm someone who doesn't like to put on a rain jacket or a snow coat or put on boots or even think about that stuff. It's not something that's just in my DNA. And if that's something that you're kind of annoyed with where you live now, or then coming to LA, you'll be in for a nice, pleasant surprise. You don't have to worry about any of that. Year round, you can pretty much be in a t-shirt if you want. Once in a while, you're throwing on a sweatshirt to warm up a little bit. But even your day-to-day, when you're running errands, going to the grocery store, you don't need an umbrella. You don't need to run from your car to the store to not get wet. You don't need to worry about changing out into snow tires. You don't need to worry about chipping ice off your windshield or just staying indoors because the weather's so bad or it's too cold. LA doesn't have any of that. It's just pleasant pretty much year round. And I like being outside with my family in the backyard, grilling it up. I like being by the pool. I like going to the beach in the winter. I like going out for hikes. I like going for a run. All of that I can do outdoors. I like eating outside. You know, almost all the restaurants around here have outdoor seating now. Or if you just want to eat outside in the backyard with friends and family, you can do that year round. Our farmers markets are year round. We have outdoor festivities year round. They're not subject to weather. I mean, we don't have to concern ourselves with any of that. Also, the reason why I love it is because we don't really get affected by that seasonal depression, which I hear so much about from other people living in other parts of the country, that during that fall and winter where it's kind of dark and gloomy and overcast and you're just kind of indoors and it just doesn't feel right, has a lot to do with the sunshine. I mean, we as people need that vitamin D. We need that sun. It creates this feeling of calm and happiness. I can't explain why, but it just does. You really don't have those seasonal depression periods of time throughout the year. We do get a May gray and a June gloom where the fog from the ocean rolls in and just kind of stays in, but it doesn't usually last the whole day. It kind of burns off by the afternoon. We typically don't get a lot of rain here. When we do, people tend to freak out because we're not used to it. Outside of that, we don't have much weather. We don't have a lot of seasons. I will say we maybe have something called earthquake weather. People sometimes believe in it. Sometimes in these really hot days or when it goes from really cold to really hot, people think there's going to be some big earthquake, but I won't get too much into that. Okay, we're on pro number 3, and that is Los Angeles is a land of opportunity. People come here to follow their dreams because there's something here for everyone. And it's welcoming, it's encouraging, creative thinking, collective energy. It's all here in the spirit of Los Angeles, and it's a real driving force of why people move here, and it's a driving force why so many people stay here. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that the opportunities just fall in your lap. You've got to work hard for it. And yes, as I mentioned, we are a big chill kind of city and relaxed, but you do need to hustle if you're going to follow your big dreams here. But that's the beauty of Los Angeles, is that the opportunities are here. Now, I know from experience with other cities that you're limited. You may not have as many opportunities. You may not meet as many different people who will open the doors for you, or meet people that will kind of spark the creative juices for you in something that you haven't even thought about. And that's what I love about Los Angeles. There's so many different opportunities, and you can try on different hats, see what feels right for you. And if something doesn't work out, you can try something else, or you may come across something that you wouldn't have where you currently live now, or some other smaller cities, or even some of the other bigger cities. We just have so many people coming here from that entrepreneurial spirit. I still think it has something to do with the gold rush days and the frontier days where people are coming this way to start a new life, and that's just carried over. Also, it has something to do with being close to the ocean, where you look across the expansive ocean and you can just imagine, let your dreams set free. You don't feel stifled or enclosed in because you feel like you have the space to think and create. And for me personally, I've gone through a few careers, a few iterations of myself, and all of it has to do with being an environment that encourages this type of thought. I know people think of Los Angeles as being the entertainment capital of the world, and people come here just to be in the movies, the industry as we call it. But there's so much more to that. We have aerospace, high tech, hospitality, medical, education, you name it, it's here. Every field you can imagine, all the trades are here and encouraged, and people create their own businesses out of becoming craft tradesmen. And I mean, it's why people gravitate towards here for the digital commerce community, Silicon Beach, Northern California has Silicon Valley. We've got Silicon Beach. I think it's better because, of course, we have the beach. Can't beat that. Okay, the fourth great thing about Los Angeles is the people and the culture, because people from all over the world make Los Angeles their home. Something truly unique when compared to many cities across the country and across the world. It's hard to find other places where you're going to see so many people living together in one big city. And I absolutely love it here. I feel like I've grown from it. I've learned so much from it. I love exposing my kids and my family to it without having to travel all over the world. And I love traveling. I can experience people from all over the world, culture, food, festivals, religion, perspectives, all of that in my own city. And I can come across it every single day. And I think it adds another level of living. I took this for granted for many, many years in my life until I started traveling throughout the US and seeing that this was not the case in many of the big cities that I went to. And what I love about Los Angeles is that you have these different enclaves that cater to different cultures. You have like a Koreatown, Japantown, you've got Chinatown, Little Ethiopia. You got all these different neighborhoods that have this unique cultural vibe. And yet at the same time, no matter where you are in the city, you have people living together and blending together and finding food from all over the world. And for me, who loves to experience that, LA is just a perfect city. And if you're someone that is kind of yearning for that, or wanting that exposure, wanting to learn more about different cultures and living within that type of community, then LA is definitely the best city for that. I also like being able to share my culture with people from all over the world that are living in Los Angeles. And it just, again, creates this connected community where people are learning from each other, feeling connected to each other, and just creating this kind of cohesive community with all sorts of people from everywhere. We are on pro number 5, and that is the entertainment scene in Los Angeles. Now, LA is no shortage of entertainment. Whatever you're into, LA has, and again, it goes back to having all sorts of people living here. It goes back to the opportunities that we have here in Los Angeles and the lifestyle. Whatever you want, you can seek out and find. Whether you're into sports, we've got great sports entertainment. We have the movie industry. We've got the beach. We've got anything for outdoors and hiking enthusiasts. Anything that you can imagine is here in Los Angeles. Now, Los Angeles is such a big sprawled out city, and it depends on where you live, on how close you will be to that entertainment. In my younger days, I was hitting up the club scene in Hollywood, spending all my nights there. As I got a little bit older, started my family, I started looking for other forms of entertainment, more museums, outdoor recreation. All of it is here, and it's right at your fingertips. Now, it takes a little while to get there because you're going to be stuck in some traffic, but it is all there available to you. You don't need to drive to another city. You don't need to venture out to another state. You can just find everything here all within the city of Los Angeles. And unlike other cities where you may find one place that you go to for that form of entertainment, well, I guarantee LA has at least 10 of those spots, probably even more. And that's just so unique to the city of Los Angeles. And it's what drives people to stay here once they are here, because they realize there's no shortage of entertainment, no shortage of things to do in all aspects of life. And for people that are born and raised here, it's reasons why a lot of people don't leave, because when they do go to other places, whether it's travel or maybe they live somewhere for a while, they come back, because unlike Los Angeles, other cities don't quite have those levels or those forms of entertainment or as much of it as someone would normally want. So if you're someone that loves to take advantage of the city life and be entertained and do things, you like to go out and be places, LA has it all for you. All right, I know you've been waiting for it, some of the negatives of Los Angeles, because it's not all good, it's all not glitz and glamour. Los Angeles does have its negatives, and we're going to start off with the -1, and that is it's a sprawled out city. LA is massive, over 500 square miles, and it can be hard to feel connected to the whole entire city because it's so sprawled out, so hard to get to because of traffic, not just the distance wise, but when you add time of traffic, you just don't end up exploring lots of the city if you're not making that conscious effort to do so, because it's just hard to get places. And that disconnection, when you're living in different regions of Los Angeles, you may not feel connected to other regions because you're just not in that community. They're not coming to you, and you're not really connected that way. So sometimes each region or sub-region within Los Angeles feels like its own city. And that could be problematic, especially if you're coming from a smaller city. You may feel extremely overwhelmed on how massive geographically the city is and how long it takes to get places. Okay, con number 2, that's traffic. I just touched on it. Traffic is a way of life. It's actually part of your lifestyle. I probably should have talked about that in the lifestyle section. But when you live in Los Angeles, you come to learn and expect to be sitting in your car for hours at a time. We don't have great public transportation. We are a heavily car culture city. People love their cars and they love their autonomy and just being able to get to where they want to go in their own vehicle. And so you're going to be sitting in traffic, and it can drive people nuts, especially if you're not used to it. And I know people who were born and raised here that drives them nuts constantly. Over the years, I've learned to deal with it, just be kind of my way of life, part of the understanding that that's going to be the negative portion of living in the city of Los Angeles. But it does affect you. It could affect your mood. It can make you angry, stressed out, anxious. You really have to allot for extra time when you're traveling to places. For me, when I'm in my car to deal with this extra added level of stress and anxiety, I'm putting on a podcast, I'm putting on some music, I'm catching up with family and friends or coworkers on the phone when I'm driving. I'm doing what I can to kind of stay in this Zen mood when driving, but I know for a lot of people, it can be quite aggravating and upsetting, especially when you realize how much of the day it's actually taking, because we don't have rush hour here per se. We have kind of this free hour where from basically 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., that's where your best time to travel is, unless you're a night owl in the middle of the night. But outside of that, you're going to be sitting in traffic. Sometimes just to go 12 miles, you're talking like an hour. I mean, that was something for me that I was dealing with on the daily. And that is why I do encourage people when they move here, see if you can live and work in the same neighborhood, or at least neighborhood adjacent, to kind of cut down on that traffic.
It's expensive.
Okay, con number 3, and this is probably what everyone's been waiting for, is the affordability, especially in housing when it comes to Los Angeles. It is super expensive to live here in Los Angeles. Now, it's not as high as some places like Boston, New York, San Francisco, but it is high up on the list of being most expensive places to live in the country. Let's start off with housing, because that is going to be your number one expense. Now, if you want a full breakdown of expenses in Los Angeles, make sure you look up my cost of living in Los Angeles video on my channel, and that'll give you more detail. But I'll give you a little bit of information here in this one, where the medium house single family home here is $925,000, and the medium condo in Los Angeles is $585,000. Now, this will greatly depend on which region and neighborhood that you live in LA. The general rule of thumb is if the closer you are to the ocean, more expensive, and if you're in the hills, it's going to be more expensive. Taxes are higher here, especially when it comes to sales tax. It's 9.5%. So every time you buy something, you're going to tack on 9.5% to that price. And when you're talking about insurance, car insurance is going to be more expensive here, probably just because we're always in our cars and sitting in traffic. And when you're talking about going out for, let's say, dinner for two, at a kind of a mid-level restaurant, you're talking about $75 for 2 people. Now, if you got a family of 4, of course, that's going to be well over $100 for a mid-level restaurant. This is one of the discouraging things about living in Los Angeles, is that it's hard to make it here. And as I mentioned, there are lots of opportunities for you to create your life, but it is expensive. And single income households are really rare when living in LA. It's really hard to make it. It's even hard to make it as a dual income household. But if you're going to be buying a place, especially at these medium prices, most likely you're going to have 2 incomes. People argue, well, wages are higher in Los Angeles. Now that is true in a lot of the careers. You are going to be making more money in LA, but it hasn't quite met or caught up to the housing prices, especially. So living in Los Angeles, one of the big cons is how expensive it is to just make it here and to really thrive here. All right, the 4th con on our list is going to be the homeless problem that we have here. Now, I'm not going to get into the politics of this. It's not the right channel for that, but we do have a big homeless problem, and it's become a crisis here. It's gotten a lot worse since we went through the pandemic days, but you're going to find homeless people pretty much wherever you go throughout the city of LA. And it is worse in some areas than when you compare it to others. But that's not to say that even if you're looking at super high-end neighborhoods, that you're not going to be affected by it, because you are going to be traveling and driving and going to different forms of entertainment, and you're going to see lots of homeless people. We have tent cities all over the place. You see under freeway underpasses 5, 10, 15, 20 tents. And unfortunately, the city of here has kind of encouraged it and hasn't really done enough to make things better for the homeless people here. They put out, instead of really helping, they put out bathrooms and portable showers, and they'll even put like a security guard to kind of monitor the area. But it affects a lot of people in many ways. Now, there's a lot of reasons for the homelessness. Affordability may be a little bit of the factor, but a lot of it has to do with mental health, substance abuse, and just not having enough of the right services to support this. And it's just weird juxtaposition, this weird feeling when you're living in a multi-million-dollar neighborhood and you just drive down the street and you see some homeless people there, and it's shocking in some sense, and I still haven't gotten used to it, and it's gotten a lot worse since I was a kid here growing up. And it's unfortunate that this is the case. And as I mentioned, you can be walking, just going shopping and see homeless people outside of retail. And it's really affected a lot of businesses, because sometimes it's gotten so bad where it's discouraging people to go into a certain retail place or a retail location. Even the beach has become quite inundated with a homeless population, where it doesn't really make it very welcoming in some parts of the Los Angeles beach communities. So it's out there, it's real, you see it on the news, and it's true. And unfortunately, it also leads to an escalation in crime. And that leads us to our con number 5, and that is the crime here in Los Angeles. Now, people, you see it probably in the news, people talk about it, maybe friends and family thinking about moving here. I personally haven't been too affected by it, but I have friends and I have neighbors that have been directly affected by it. And it has, again, gotten worse from the pandemic. It has gotten worse from the homeless population, because there's a sense of desperation. I mean, if you're living on the streets, they need to survive somehow, and unfortunately, a lot of them revert to crime and theft, whether it's through your cars or home burglaries, and they have sometimes they have some professional operations that are doing home burglaries, and really no neighborhood is exempt from this. I've got friends and family in really high-end neighborhoods, and people are getting hit by these burglary rings. I can't really speak to too much of the violent crimes or the intensity of the crimes for that. I always encourage people to go to lapdonline.org, where you can find crime stats for all the different neighborhoods within the city of Los Angeles. But I will say our resources are stretched thin. A lot of times these crimes go unpunished with the way things are set up in our politics in Los Angeles. There are people that commit these crimes are back on the streets doing it again. There's really not much of a punishment for them. So it kind of encourages that, and that's unfortunate. LA is such a beautiful city and such a great place to live. And I'm not saying that you're going to be experiencing on a daily or a weekly, a monthly, or even a yearly, but you will come across it, and you will, whether it's friends or family, or unfortunately maybe yourselves, that when you're living here, you may experience that. It has gotten worse over the years. So there it is. You got your list of top 5 pros, top 5 cons as I see them in living in the city of Los Angeles. There are many other great reasons to live here, and there are probably some other negatives that I didn't touch on, but I do think the pros outweigh the negatives. I may be biased because I'm a local. I love the city of LA, and I just think it has so much to offer. And there's just, I mean, where else can you go to the beach in the same day that you can go skiing? I mean, we're literally just 2.5 hour drive. You can go surfing in the morning, hit the slopes in the late afternoon, all in one day. And I think that's just awesome way to live. So city of Los Angeles, I highly recommend it. I love it here. If you are thinking about making the move, make sure you hit us up with that phone, text, email, WhatsApp. If you like these videos, keep watching them on our channel, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified, hit the like button, and leave a comment. Love answering questions from our viewers.